Oh, gotta get the right screen here. Well, good morning, my friends, or I should say good afternoon, since it's now after 12 o'clock. This is just an impromptu live today. Uh, let's see. Seems like my how many stitches can we stitch in an hour went over pretty well. So I just thought I'd jump on today and do a bit of a live and see how many stitches can I get stitched during a live stream. You know, the last time I live streamed, I think I got all of about, 20? If it was even that. So I thought, well, let's see how many we can do today and have it be something different. So grab your stitching, grab your favorite drink, and we'll get started and see how many we can stitch today. Besides that, we'll just babble or ramble or whatever. You know, feel free to join in and tell me what you're stitching, and we'll go from there. I really didn't have anything special planned today, just to jump on for a little bit and see how things go. Well, hello, Cheryl. How are you? Did you bring your stitching today? I thought since last time I worked on a heaven and earth design, this time I would do something that's all one color and not have to, let me get my needle out of here, not have to change colors and see how much of a difference that will make in how many stitches we get done. Oh, you're coming from Maine, Cheryl. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Let me grab my stitchy glasses. I have everything here but my glasses. Hold on, I'll be right back. So we had here in Pennsylvania all that ugly weather yesterday, which didn't amount to too terribly much. And I think it was headed your way in Maine. So are you getting snow up there today or not so much? We just had mostly, well, we had snow and it laid on the grass, but it really didn't amount to too much of anything. The streets were wet, but it was no trouble driving, and it didn't freeze or anything of that sort. And today, the sun is shining. Well, hello, Christina from the Philippines. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're joining me today. And Ghislaine, hi. Okay, let me see if I can pronounce this again. Ranila. Oh, I'm so bad. So bad. So you had the weather yesterday, Cheryl? Well, then you had it when we did. I think it moved through here pretty fast. So, oh, what am I doing? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Well, it's okay. I don't have to frog that because guess what? I would have had to stitch them there anyway. Oh my goodness. So see what happens. See what happens when you try and live and stitch at the same time. Oh my heavens. Oh my heavens. I get so involved in reading comments. Nyla, okay, that's so much easier. So much easier. Yes, I get so caught up in comments that I forget to pay attention to my chart. And Michaela, Oh my goodness. See, I am awful. From Sweden. Oh, how wonderful is that? How wonderful. So Sweden, isn't that where Sweden? Do I want to say that's where Carla Stitchy Witch, the Stitchy Witch, is from? I just watched one of her videos the other day, and she's stitching something different other than a heaven and earth design. Do you know, sometimes I love my full coverage, don't get me wrong. I love my full coverage. Since I switched to cross country within the diagonal, I've been really, really enjoying it. But sometimes you just need a break from all of that. Sometimes I need just the monotonous. Okay, I used to call it the no-brainer stitching. Okay, so let's mark these off. And that gave us 2, 4, 6, 7. And Debbie, East Texas. Yay! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Wow, it just amazes me how people join here from all over the world. It's absolutely amazing how far and wide this internet reaches. That we have. Who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? Martina! Oh, well, I'm glad you dropped in to say hello, and do enjoy your dinner. Yeah, catch me later. It'll be up on YouTube. And Martina's in Germany, and Mandy is in the UK. Isn't it? Who would have ever thought? Who would have? Heck, when I was a kid, our TV was black and white. We didn't even have color TV. Well, actually, I remember when we first got a TV, we were in heaven. And then, yes, come back later. I'm going to probably be here a while, Martina. Debbie, you got your nerd hoops. You love them? Oh. You got the one like I'm using? Here, let me scooch it over. You got, which way am I going? There we go. You got these plastic ones? I love them. I really think they hold your fabric wrong way, Jose. They hold your fabric every bit as tight, if not tighter, than a Q-snap, and it doesn't come loose on you. The needles I like, they're the ballpoint needles. They're the needle that, see if I can show you here. See, it has that little itty bitty ball on the end. I should have a white piece of paper, then maybe you could see it better. But there's this little teeny ball on the end. Now, when I got a lot of mine, I got them from Polka Dot Stitchery. However, she is not selling them anymore, which is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She doesn't sell them anymore. In fact, I don't think she's doing anything, selling anything anymore. In fact, I bought them bulk. So when I bought them, I bought like 10 at a time. So I don't know of anywhere that you can buy them bulk anymore. But where you can get them is they are the Easy Guide needle, and Sullivan's puts them out. They come 2 in a pack. And I want to say, well, let me look it up here for you. I'm pretty sure you can get them at 123 Stitch, but let's see, maybe Amazon has them. We'll look up Sullivan needles, size 24. Yes, Sullivan's has them. Let's see. I'm going to hold it under here. Let's see if I don't get any glare. Oh, glare. Oh, what a relief it is. There you go. Sullivan's has them for 2 in a pack for $8.57, or 3 packages. So that's a total of 6 needles for $26. And you know what? That really isn't bad, because when I bought mine bulk from, well, the first set I got Easy Guide Needle had a shop on Etsy. So when I got my first ones, I bought them there, and they were, I'm gonna say they were $1 a needle. I'm gonna say roughly they were $1 a needle. So if you can get 3 packs for, what was that, $26, that's about the same price as what I paid. And when I bought them from Polka Dot Stitchery, I paid the same thing, $1 a needle. So I got 25 needles for $25 plus the shipping. So yeah, so on Amazon, that's not too bad. Now, does 123 Stitch have them any cheaper? Well, let's just find that out. Sullivan needles. Oh, you can get them cheaper on 123 Stitch. They're the original Easy Guide needle, and they are $7.19 for 2 in a pack, and they come in size 26, 28, and 24. So, there you go. There you go. They have really turned out to be my most favorite needle. And I like them because when you're stitching, it doesn't split your fabric, and it doesn't split your floss. You know how sometimes if you have a needle that's too, well, even your blunt tapestry needles, there's times that there's times that it will they will split your floss, or kind of catch the edge and pierce the fabric thread a little bit, and your stitches aren't as neat. And I have found by using these, my stitches are much neater. And well, let me go up just a little bit so you can get a better look. But I think my stitches look pretty darn good, if I must say so myself. But a lot of that is all because of this ballpoint needle. Okay, Debbie, have a good lunch and we will catch you later. But thanks for stopping in. Well, hi, Julia. How are you this morning? Or no, it's not morning anymore. It is now afternoon. Afternoon. Gosh, time flies. Time flies. Took me a while. I wanted to start earlier today, and it took me a while. I don't know why my cameras are giving me such fits to focus. But it is giving me a fit to focus, so I think it's okay now. But boy, oh boy, till I get it focused right, such a going on it was. But we are here now. And in case you haven't figured it out, but I think most people probably have, I am stitching on Pandemic today. And you know what? This is a rather enjoyable thing to stitch on when you're live streaming, because you just follow the chart. You don't have to change all the colors all the time or find where to park the thread or do all that stuff. So I get to just stitch along, and maybe during this stream I'll get a decent amount of stitches done. What do you think? So is anybody out there stitching? Anybody stitching with me or just hanging out? I was going to, but I changed my mind. I was going to work on my By the Bay Needle Arts Home Sweet Home stitch along. However, again, that would have been changing colors and way much counting, so I decided, no, we'll just work on this today. Nyla, you're stitching? Good. I think I soon got to change the thread here. What do you think? It's getting a little... Should I play thread chicken? Sometimes that's fun to do. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk a little bit about, but let me end this. Let me do these 4 stitches and end this thread. And then I will explain. Molly, you're stitching on Beachcomber. That's a Heaven and Earth one, isn't it? If I'm remembering correctly. I might have to end this with an away thread because I'm really playing chicken here. Oops. Do you hear my cricket? That's probably my friend Barb. Which it is, but I will answer her in just a little. Well, actually, I could just, if you don't mind, I'm just going to answer here real quick. So Beachcomber by Carolyn Manning. Oh, okay. And you're doing a long dog, Mandy, with red floss on white fabric. Oh my goodness. Well, we could almost be twins. We could be the what the positive and the negative, or what would you call that? But that would be neat. I'm going to just hide this thread over here and cut it off later after I stitch a few stitches over it, and we'll add 5 more. Here we go. Okay, need a new thread here. And how many of you know this trick of, and I like to do this because it keeps your thread from knotting so much, is just run it over one time over a damp sponge, and it takes any kinks out of it, and it really does help with the knotting. And for some reason, for some reason, this white, well, no, this isn't white, this is B5200, it wants to not thread in my needle. Okay, am I gonna have trouble with mine? Okay. Why is this not liking me today? There we go. There we go. Ah, some days I thread the needle and it just goes right in. Other days it wants to give me fits. But if you run your thread over a damp sponge, it really does take out any kinks, and it helps that it doesn't knot so much. For some reason, like I said, B5200 seems to knot quite a bit for me, and I don't know what it is. But what I wanted to talk about is I was talking with another floss tuber, well, Kaylee cross stitch, and she's stitching over one teeny tiny. Now this is over one on 25 count. However, no matter what you're stitching over one, you really want to prevent your thread from slipping between the fabric threads. And how many times, when those of you that stitch over one, have you had that happen? And I know I have a video on it, but I thought, oh, we'll just review it again here during a live, just on account. It would be a fun thing to do. So what I referred her to, and the way there's 2 ways that I use to stitch over one. So the first one, if you go to the website Twisted Threads, and it's Ruth Sparrow's website, what she shows you is to stitch it as, and you can do this as a sewing method if you like to do sewing method. But what you do is you stitch it pretty much like a, well, not pretty much, you stitch it like a continental stitch on your first leg. And let's get that thread out of the way. So what I'm doing is coming up in the lower left and going down, and there's a knot. I felt that little stinker. There we go. Lower left, go down in the upper right, and do that all the way across. Okay. Seem to be blocking out my light here. Okay, so you do that all the way across. Now, when you come back, you want to go from your upper left to your lower right. And yes, that goes against everything I've always told you, to always be coming up in a clean hole. However, when stitching over one like this, it does lock your stitches so that your thread doesn't slip underneath your fabric threads. Whoops. Here we go. So that was 5. Let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll go down here 1, 2. So it's always lower left to upper right. And then upper left to lower right. Now that works extremely, and in fact, if I'm not stitching in a hoop and I decide to either stitch in hand or I want to do the sewing method and use a hoop, I'll let my fabric very loose in the hoop so that I can manipulate it a little bit. You can't do it if your fabric is really tight, but I'll do the sewing method within the hoop, and that works very well. I kind of like that. Now the other way that you can prevent your thread from slipping is, let me see if I can get you in closer to see this. Let's see if it stays clear. Okay, bring it all the way in here. Okay, now I'm going to come up in the lower left. All right, now do you see this intersection that I'm crossing here? My thread, fabric thread, is vertical. Can you see that? Do I need to bring you in a little closer even? Oh, there. Oh, and we're staying in focus. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Okay, you see the fabric thread, and the red fabric is a little hard to see. I get that. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the light. But this thread is vertical. So when I go down in the upper right-hand corner, since I'm crossing a vertical thread, I want to come up in the lower right-hand corner and cross it to the upper left. Okay. Now, my next stitch, I'm going to again come up in the lower left corner, but I'm going to look at this thread and say, oh, that fabric thread is horizontal. Okay, so when I go down in the upper right, since my thread that I'm crossing is horizontal, I'm going to come up in the upper left. Well, good morning, Bruce. How are you this morning? Glad you're stopping by. And then I'm going to cross it down. So essentially what's happening is, what you want to remember is the way your thread needs to travel on the back. Hold still here. That's what I thought happened. Hold it. I got to unpick because I got a ugly thing going on back here. See? This is real life, my friends, real life. I don't know how I got an ugly mess back there. but it's pretty nasty. And I don't know how far I have to unpick it. Bruce, how are you liking stitching cross country in the diagonal? I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness, that goes up a couple rows. Okay. Pardon me while the frog comes to visit. Now, since I already stitched these stitches and counted them, I will not count them a second time. Because guess what? Life happens. And that must be where the fuss is. Because it doesn't want to play nice. I don't know what I got going on here. And I might just say, you know what? It's really locked in there. I'm going to deal with it later. Just is what it is. It's so locked in there, I can probably just snip it and it's not going to come undone. So those are one of the things that you look at or look for when you have to frog. So here we were going this direction. Oh, I don't like that. See, and I don't know if you can see this, but what happened is this pulled away funny from where I was going to begin the next stitch. So we're going to undo that, and there are times when you break that rule of real life, my friends, real life. Do any of you get to fuss like this over what you're doing? Oh, Lordy. There we go. Okay, so now we know that when I cross that one, going from upper right or upper left to the bottom right, it made my stitch lay funny. So this is a good thing that this happened, because then you get to see what happens and maybe what to do to avoid that. So since we know that's going to pull it weird, what I'm going to do is back out of this hole and go against my rule, self-imposed rule, and come up here in the bottom right and go down in the top left. That will make this stitch lay nicer. So this one, we're coming up in the bottom left, going down in the top right, and it was a vertical thread, so we're going to come up in the bottom right, go down in the top left. Next stitch, now see how that then lays much nicer. So we can also talk about this. Well, hello Teresa, how are you this morning? Bruce, it's your new favorite way. Awesome. Guess what? It's my new favorite way too. I love it. So now I'm crossing a horizontal thread. So I'm going to come up here and go down here. Okay, so now I'm back to where I counted. All right, so now my next stitch is going to come up here, go down in the top right. Now again, I'm crossing a vertical thread. Okay, so I'm going to have my thread travel vertically on the back. Sorry, I bumped my camera. And cross it this way. No, you're reading your chart wrong, Goofus. That's me, Goofus, not you. Real life, my friends, real life. This is how you don't get a lot of stitches done on a stream. Oh, doesn't it make you laugh? You guys are quiet today. Okay, we want to go here. Bottom left, upper right. Again, we're still crossing a vertical thread, so we're going to come up in the bottom right and cross it. And then the next one, we're going to come up bottom left, go down top right. That was a horizontal thread. Oh, okay. I'll turn the music down. I'm sorry. There. How's that, Molly? Is that any better? Good morning, Sue. How are you? How's your hardanger coming along? Ah, and there comes the knot again. Okay. So now let's see. We did 4 more stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I have my goal set. You're welcome. I didn't realize it was as loud as it was. Here, I thought initially only had it set at halfway, so my apologies, and thank you for letting me know that it was too loud. Doing well, no hardanger lately. And you know what? Comes in spurts for me too. And in fact, I was just thinking the other day that it's soon time to make some videos of some of the not specialty stitches, but some of the other filling stitches. So be on the lookout. They'll be coming soon. Okay. Sorry, had to check the back. So here we go. Now I'm gonna, okay. So do you get the idea here? And again, this also helps your stitches to lay nicer. Because, having stitches lay nice is all about the direction of the travel of the thread. And I'll show you here in a second. Okay. So this is, we're going to end this here. And that's 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, Okay, I'm going to just undo this right here so that you can hopefully see. If I would have crossed this X from the bottom right to the top left and then moved to this stitch here, okay, and came up in the top right, do you see what happens here? That pulls funny. Okay. So, since I'm going to cross it top left to bottom right and then come up in the top right of this stitch, it lays much nicer. So it's all has to do with how you travel between the stitches. So if you're going to, I'm just going to show you this here. Okay, I went down in the upper left. If my next stitch was up above, say up here, and I traveled this way, do you see how that, and it's a little hard to see, but do you see how it pulls that stitch across the hole? It doesn't, okay, let's get rid of it. There we go. Do you see how it elongates this and it pulls it above the hole? Okay. Whereas, and again, let me show you how we fix that. So let me oh, I shouldn't have done that. Go back down here. Wrong one. Came up in the wrong one. So now what are we pulling up here? This must be that dumb loop that's back there. I'm going to turn around and cut it off in a second. Real life, my friends, real life. Here, let's do this. Oh, you guys probably think, what kind of a fool is she? She wants to show us all these things and then she keeps messing up. Yep, that's exactly what that was. That was that dumb loop that wants to get in the way. Well, guess what? He's not getting in the way anymore, and he's knotted back there, so it's not going to come undone. So there, your history. Okay. So, I should brought my snag nabbit over here. So, by crossing this stitch, from the top Well, hello, Elizabeth. Oh, the music was me. I turned it off. So, by crossing this stitch from the top left to the bottom right, and now we want to travel up. Oh, Molly, I'm glad because guess what? We're all human. So, if I want to travel up from the stitch I just made, do you see how this then lays so much nicer? Now it looks a little boogered because I boogered it, but um, it pulls it. So what you want to, basically what you want to do is you're pulling in a direction that does not occlude the hole, but keeps the hole more open. So let me do these 4 stitches. And this is normally the way I like to, well, I actually like to stitch this way better. So I'm going to do that here. And then I'm going to go this way back. And I changed that direction a little bit so that I can stab down in the previous row. And it will give the same effect. Okay. So now I went down here in the bottom right-hand corner of this stitch. And my next stitch is going to be directly above that. So by doing that, I'm not occluding a hole, I'm keeping it open. So these are the 2 ways that I use to stitch over one, with the exception of my Heaven and Earth designs, which in all honesty, I have not had any problem with my thread, pardon me, with my thread slipping. Okay, it's all right. I've not had any problem with my thread slipping underneath on the Easy Guide fabric. I don't know what makes the difference. I wish I could figure that out. Is it because, I don't know, is it because we have so many color changes and that there isn't a lot of place for it to slip because the back gets, well, not that it gets so nasty. Sometimes it gets nasty, but there's a lot of thread on both front and back. So is that what's preventing the thread from slipping underneath your fabric threads? I really can't answer that because I really don't know. But I don't seem to have trouble on the Heaven and Earth designs. And those I just stitch the normal cross stitch way. I don't worry about which direction the fabric thread is going and does my thread need to travel this way on the back or that way on the back, or do I need to do the continental stitch in one direction and cross it in the other? I don't worry about those things. Maybe I should, but you know what? Real life, I don't worry about those things. However, on something like this, I do because, depending on, it's not full coverage, first of all, and depending on how your stitches lay affects. And that's also a good point, Elizabeth. By pulling straight down, you're helping to prevent some of that slippage. Yeah, in actuality, by following the direction of the fabric thread for your thread to travel on the back, what you're doing is you're preventing it from being able to slip. Because, okay, well, this is a little hard to see. If this stitch had a vertical thread, this one that I'm at right now. So if I would come up here instead of the bottom right, and I pull, do you see how that just slips down? Okay, because there's nothing preventing that from happening. Whereas okay, I need the other hand here. Whereas oh boy. Pardon me. Real life again, my friends. Or should I say my peeps, what my husband calls you all, my peeps. It's so funny. He says, "Are you going to video with your peeps today?" And I say, "Yepers. You want to come visit?" He says, "No, thank you." Okay, let's do that again. So you saw how your thread slipped. Okay, because there's nothing here to prevent, oh, my hand gets in the light. There we go. There's nothing here to prevent that thread from slipping underneath there. Okay, but if we go, now remember, it's a vertical thread. So if we follow the direction of the fabric thread and we come up here, and you could really kind of pull as tight as you want, because what's happening is there isn't anything open. Okay. So if we came up here and here, this, you're going here like this, behind the weave. Can you see that? You're going behind the weave of the fabric. So that locks it so that it can't slip underneath. There's no way that that thread is going to go, that your floss is going to go underneath that fabric thread, because it can't. So that's why it's important when you're working, a design of maybe this type, to look at how your fabric threads lay, so that you can prevent that from happening. Plus, as I said, it also, my opinion only, again, and these are all my opinions. I am not an expert. Please, 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 please. I am not an expert. I just have been around the block a couple times and figured out some things along the way. But to me, that's why I think it is important that you look at how that thread lays, and and execute your stitching in a manner that makes you happy and that you can live with. Not, and this is no judgment, absolutely no judgment. As long as you're stitching and you're doing it in a way that makes you happy, it's fine. It's wonderful. And that's what your stitching is all about. But if you are if you're not happy and you're looking to, how can I make this just a little, oops, wrong place. How can I make this just a little bit better? What can I do a little bit different to maybe make it look a little bit neater, and then I will be happier? Then these are some of the tricks that you can use. And maybe you're doing it already. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the light so you can see. Maybe you're doing it already. And there's no law that says you have to. Again, stitch the way that you are happy. And each of us set our own standard for what we're willing to accept or not accept. And that's okay. It's all okay, because guess what? Last time I checked, there were no cross-stitch police. Well, at least they haven't showed up at my house. Oh my. There really are no rules. And it's just like the diagonal stitching. Still am a big advocate for that. And we all know, well, most of us that have been here for a while know how that came to be, that I put so many videos out on diagonal stitching is because, it was another method. It was another way. And I never, ever expected it to take off the way that it did. I just saw it as, hey, this is another option. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Let's tweak it to what works for me. And that's what I did, to give people another option. Oh, cancel that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that. We're almost at 100 stitches. But we've been here how long? Oh, wow. Almost an hour. Well, guess what, though, folks? For a live stream, it's not too bad. Because any other live stream, I was lucky to get 50 or 20 stitches done. So, hey, we're doing good. Oh, hello, Margaret. I missed your post here. I'm just now seeing it. You're from the Netherlands. Wonderful. And I'll be your company driving home from work. Oh, that's wonderful. Michaela, I think you're absolutely correct. And I've said that too many times. A chart will tell you how it wants to be stitched. Absolutely will tell you. It will tell you. That's great, Teresa. I'm so glad. That was my intent. People were having trouble, and Brian Blitzstitch does some wonderful videos on diagonal stitching. And he really is a master of diagonal stitching. And he has developed his technique, and he has stuck with his technique. And I don't think he varies from that at all. And you know what? Kudos to him. He's a great guy. A great guy. But I had a hard time wrapping my head around stitching my, I don't know if you want to call them rows or lines, but my stitches always went across my diagonal horizontally. He stitches his vertically to fill up his diagonal. And my head just couldn't grasp that. I couldn't, I couldn't. It just didn't work. So it was, okay, how can I take what he's doing and switch it up to what works for me? And that's what started all of this. That's why I put those first videos up there on diagonal stitching. And once they went up, so many people were saying to me, oh my goodness, now I understand. Now I can wrap my head around that. And that's wonderful. And I'm so happy that those videos have helped so many people to be able to stitch that way. Yeah, Teresa, exactly how I felt. My method of stitching was totally different from his, and I just couldn't quite get it. I just couldn't wrap. Oh no, wait, I can't move that. Here we go. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Here we go, because I'm going to switch over to here. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. It's quite all right, because everybody does things different. That's what makes the world go round. But I'm so glad that that's what has helped. Oh, where did I put my thread? Okay, I am losing stuff all over the place here today. Somewhere I had a whole thing of white thread. And now, no wonder my husband says you're always dragging thread around the house. Because now I can't find that bit that I cut off before. It's here somewhere. It's probably stuck on me someplace. And he says, I'm finding thread all over the house. Do I think it's harder to accomplish when you're stitching in hand? I think it's what you're comfortable with. I think it's, if you're comfortable stitching in hand and that works for you, then awesome. Then go for that. Whether you stitch in hand or stitch with a hoop or a scroll frame, it's all about what works for you. For me, to stitch full coverage in hand, I can't do it. I'll be honest. I can't do it. It just doesn't work. I don't know how to hold all that fabric. I just don't know what to do with all that fabric. And then on 25 count, I find it very difficult to use a sewing method. And to me, if I'm holding fabric in my hand, I rather do a sewing method. But yet, if I'm sticking and stabbing, it's how do I get around all that fabric? Teresa, you're right. Stitching Mommy does do hers in hand. And I tried her way of holding, and maybe it would be a matter of just doing it and getting used to it and developing that quote unquote muscle memory. But I just find it uncomfortable to to hold my fabric that way. I would much rather roll my fabric from the side into where I'm stitching as opposed from the bottom up to where I'm stitching. And maybe that's what isn't working for me. But again, it's find the way that works for you. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And everybody needs to find their own little niche of what works. Brian is great. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah. And I agree, Sue. I needed the horizontal as opposed to the vertical. Molly, you stitch in hand using the Victorian method of cross stitch. Victorian method of cross stitch. Is that? Oh, I know what you mean. I'll do a little smidge of it here when I get to a straight line. I might have to take it out, but let me try. So everybody knows. I think I have it right what the Victorian method is. If you watch Jean Farish, she had a little bit of a ditty on the Victorian method. So if you're yeah. Yeah, depending on what stitch you used, Martina, yes, it did warp your fabric. Absolutely. Molly, tell me if I'm right here. The Victorian method is where, and you do this as a sewing method, but you would come up in your bottom left, go down in your top right, come up in your top left, go down in your bottom right, and then scoop over to your bottom left, go down in your top right, come up in your top left, go down in your bottom right. Now I'm out of stitches here, but then you would scoop over. So that on the back of your fabric, normally, say if you're going to do your first leg across the row and then come back and cross it, all the stitches on the back of your fabric are vertical lines. Whereas in the Victorian method, all the stitches on the back of your fabric are horizontal lines. Am I right in that, Molly? I think I am. I think I am. So please correct me. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe that's the Victorian method. And that is if you're stitching in hand. Oh, so you watch Jean Farish too. Yes. In fact, I've done that too a couple of times and didn't realize what it was called either until I watched her video where she showed that method. And for those that stitch in hand, it's a very nice method. Now, what I found, yes, when you're going right to left on a piece, it's great. What I found is the easiest for me to do if I want to go, since it works very well right to left, and that's the method that you use, what I do is I turn the piece upside down. Okay? Turn it upside down, 180 degrees. So now I can stitch right to left again. So every row, what I ended up doing was switching the direction of my fabric so that I could always stitch right to left, which worked just fine. Because that is the easiest, most comfortable way to do it. Okay, you cross your stitches. I rarely ever stitched half a stitch and then go back, but when I do, I often will do the opposite of what I did to begin. So the stitches on the back are squares. Is there a fancy name for that? Good question, Elizabeth. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I honestly don't know. So if you stitched left to right and did just the first half, that gave you straight up and down stitches on the back. Okay, I'm trying to picture that in my head. So if all my stitches went lower left, upper right, lower left, upper right, lower left, upper right across, you will do the opposite when you came back. That's where I'm confused. But I don't know that there's I don't know of a fancy name for that, honestly. There may be. So, okay, bottom right, top left. You do top left. So going back, you'll travel across the top of the stitch on the back instead of going over the vertical again. I have to play with that to wrap my head around that, Elizabeth. But good point. Another, off the top of my head, if you're getting squares on the back, what the first thing that comes to mind is it the back side? The way you stitch, that it shows up on the front but a square on the back, is it essentially a four-sided stitch? Let me pull my, where do I have that? My proper stitch book. Where is it? Is that it? Oh, I thought it was right here, but apparently it's not. Oh, there it is, I think. Here it is. I'm still here. I didn't leave you. Had to get it out of the box on the... Let's look at If you guys don't have this book, it's a wonderful, wonderful book. Four-sided stitch. Oh, that's not it. Just makes me wonder. Things that make you go, Yes, four-sided stitch. More commonly called the square stitch. You're right. Is a reversible stitch and found in many types of embroidery. Forms a square on the front of the fabric and a cross stitch on the back. There we go. There we go. Now it does look like, here I come under the camera. Dun 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 dun. It does look like it's kind of a double cross on the back, but it looks like this on the front. So your method of doing it, Elizabeth, is probably these X's, but it looks like this on the back. That's what I'm difficulties and hints. Well, that's, yeah. Yeah, if you don't have this book, this is the revised one. It's a wonderful book. I really enjoy it. In fact, sometimes I forget that I have it. Sometimes I just totally forget. But it's a great reference book for the different stitches, especially if you like to do different types of stitches. I think I'm going to go back to my camera and talk to you for real. Because now I'm kind of thinking we might have to look at this book and, yeah, let's move this out of the way. Oh, look, 4 eyes, ladies, 4 eyes. Yeah, if you don't have, I'm going to move this out of the way, then I can talk to you better. Oh. So, grand total, let's say we did 75 stitches. Yeah, 75 stitches on this stream. So we didn't quite meet the goal of 100, but you know what? That is far better than I've ever done on a stream before, because I never got that many. But here's the book, The Proper Stitch. Guide by Darlene O'Shea. And this is the revised. This is not the original. But this book is great. Absolutely great. It gives you, well, all kinds of stitches and the diagrams, and gives you the sequence. That's the word I want. The sequence to stitch things. You know, here, okay, for those that did my heart hanger, here's that buttonhole. And there's the corner. There's the corner. So, you know, it's a, let me get this so we don't get so much glare. Move this out. Oops. Okay. Don't want to bump my my microphone, or you'll get weird noises. But yeah, it shows you the. Oh, did I just make the glare worse? Back there, go. There. Oh God, I'll never get used to this. It shows you the corner. Let's move this camera over a little bit. Sorry, don't mind my hand. There you go. There you go. Shows you how to do the corner. So it's, like I said, it's a wonderful book. And gives you the satin stitches. It gives you different kinds of eyelet stitches, all different kinds. It gives you geometric satin stitches, you know, how they're supposed to look on the front and how they're supposed to look on the back. You know, those are used in hardanger also. So there's just a wealth. Well, hello, Robin. How are you? You know, here's a... And Joyce. Yes, I do know what candle wicking is. He mentioned, Chris Cross-Stitch mentioned it in his video that he did last week. And candle wicking is pretty much, as I remember it, is lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and more lots of French knots. So that there's, this is going back many, many, many years. If I remember correctly, there was a design drawn on the fabric. It was like printed on in that blue ink, like your stamped cross stitch. So it was stamped on. And what you did was along those lines, along that stamped line, you did French knots. If I'm remembering correctly, like I said, it goes, whoa. Candle wicking probably goes back to when I'm remembering it was back in my high school days. Yeah, long time ago. Long time ago. But if I'm remembering correctly, okay, let's just look. Let's just NDLEWI candle wicking. Is a form of whitework embroidery that traditionally uses an unbleached cotton thread on a piece of unbleached muslin. It gets its name from the nature of the soft spun cotton thread, which is braided, then used to form the wick of candles, but that's not what we want to do. Motifs are created using a variety of traditional embroidery stitches as well as a tufted stitch. Well, I thought we did it as French knots. Yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Oh, glare. There. French knots. That's candle wicking, as I remember it, without that ad that falls in there. Yeah. As I remember it, that's candle wicking. And colonial knot stitches in the early days Especially during the westward expansion, fine embroidery threads were not plentiful because cotton threads used to make the wicks of candles were easy to acquire. They may have become the material of choice for those who wished to add some embellishment to quilts and other sewing projects. Uses colonial knots, which are tighter and sturdier than their cousin, the French knot, which makes sense for use on items such as quilts. So there you have it. Yeah, I don't think I'll be trying it either. I do remember doing it as a very young person. Like I said, back in my high school days, or even before high school days. I remember doing candle wicking. I remember doing smocking. Now, the smocking that I did wasn't on a piece where the fabric was smocked on one of those machines and then you did the embroidery. The way I did it back in the cave day was to use a piece of gingham, the checked fabric, and you used the squares in the gingham to do the smocking. And then we turned it into pillows. I remember doing that. The other thing I remember is, I don't remember what it was called, but it was a spool, a thread spool, and it had several nails driven in the top that stuck up. And you wrapped your yarn around those, and then once you had the base of it established, you kept wrapping the yarn, and you would take I think I used a double pointed knitting needle, and you took the loop and brought it up over the nail, and then you wrapped the yarn over the next nail and brought the yarn up over it, and you made these big long knitted cords. In fact, it was so long I carried it around in a plastic bag. Did I ever make anything out of it? No. No, I just had this big long thing. Yeah, cat's cradle. Yeah, that's what we used to call it. Yeah. But I had this big long thing of cording, really, that I guess you could have made it into hot pads or rugs, but I never did anything with it. I just kept on. My mom was an avid knitter. She did a lot. That was the time in her life where she was always knitting something. So her leftover yarn, my sister and brother didn't do it. You used to make rugs for your dolls. Oh, how cute is that? I did it, and I just had this big long cord. And yeah, I could have made rugs with it or hot pads or whatever, but never did anything with it. I just kept whatever yarn she gave me, just kept getting added on. And actually the game was to see just how long we could make it. I never did measure it to really find out. But that was one of the other things that I did along with the candle wicking, and I did a little bit of, I did the, it kept us busy for sure. It didn't keep me off the streets. I was always running the streets when I was a kid. But yeah, we did the candle wicking and the smocking, and I did some, God only knows if I ever finished them. I don't remember. I did some stamped embroidery. Yeah. I did huck toweling. I remember distinctly one year making a hand towel, doing the huck embroidery on the huck toweling for each of my grandmothers and my aunts. Don't know whatever happened to them. I still had one of them, but do you think I can find it anymore today? I don't know. Don't know what happened to it. Yes, in needlepoint you do a lot of specialty stitches. And really, are they special? They're just different stitches. Is I'm not yeah, sometimes it wonders me where the term specialty, or why the term specialty stitches. Um what why? They're just different stitches they're just different embroidery stitches. They're needlepoint stitches, or stitches that are commonly used in needlepoint. And really, those stitches can be just as commonly used in counted thread embroidery. Um, what was her name? Oh my goodness. When I was an EGA member, there was a needlepoint, beautiful piece. It was called the Glen Eagle, but I cannot remember the name of the designer, who I believe has long since passed away, but it was beautiful. And there was borders between, I'm going to say that it was at least 12 different blocks. And all those blocks were done in different stitches. And the border that went in between was basically a design done with satin stitches. So you did it on a mono canvas, and you used pearl cottons and other specialty threads to accomplish this. But it was beautiful. But there were people, and it can be done, that instead of using the whatever mono canvas it was, because I don't remember, Jean Hilton, you're absolutely right, Martina, thank you. Oh, her designs were gorgeous. But there were people that did that particular design I'm thinking of, the Glen Eagle, on a fabric that we use for cross stitch. The only thing they had to do different was they had to substitute the threads. So instead of using maybe a 5-weight pearl cotton or a 3-weight pearl cotton, they used a 5. Or instead of a 5, they had to use an 8. Or places maybe they used a 12, and places they used embroidery floss instead of something else. But it was a beautiful design, and it was absolutely stunning, done on a counted thread fabric. Absolutely stunning. So stitches they're stitches, and they can be used in needlepoint, or they can be used in counted thread work. Even the stitches in the proper stitch, there are stitches in here that can be used on needlepoint. They're not just counted thread stitches. Although, is this project not gorgeous? Oh, and that uses a lot of the stitches. And it's like I said before, I know how to do them, or I can look up how to do them. Do I enjoy doing them? Every now and again, yes. But it's not something that I want to do every day. You know, personally, I find my just doing my little X's, whether it be on pandemic or whether it be on a full coverage piece, it's just the little X's that make me happy. Michaela, hello from Italy. Awesome. You increased your number of stitches by preparing a lot of pre-threaded needles. Yes, and that can increase your speed very, very much so. By having everything ready to go, that if you finish one needle, you can just pick up the next and keep on going. Good idea. Good idea. And I know a lot of people that do projects that are monochromatic do that, where they like you'll take your and see, I think I lost it again. I did. Oh no, here it is. They'll take their strand of 6 that they cut off of their skein, and they'll thread 6 needles so that they can just keep on going. You know, stitch the length of one and then move on to the next and keep on going. You know, and it does. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of time, and there is, by doing it that way, you could, depending on how your pattern goes, you could start this next thread as you're finishing your last thread. So if you're, say you're working on pandemic and you know, let's go up here and we'll look at this. Okay. Say, for example, here we go. Can I do this without getting glare again? Okay. Say you're working on this top. No, this way. Say you're working on the top border and it's all a straight line. You could, as you're getting as your needle is getting empty, you could lay with an away thread your next needle full of thread, so that you're stitching over that tail with the last stitches of your current thread. And then when you run out of your current thread or just have a small amount left, you could lay that thread several blocks away and use your new thread that is now anchored under your previous stitches to stitch over the thread that you just finished, and keep on going that way. And that way you wouldn't even have to turn anything over or end anything. Just go back and clip those ends, if that makes sense. So what you're essentially doing is securing your new thread while you finish your old thread, and then securing your old thread while you continue stitching with your new thread. Maybe that can increase our speed. But then, you know, sometimes it's maybe not always all about how fast we get something finished, or maybe it's more about just enjoying the process. Elizabeth, you're too funny. No, I'm not a genius, just been around the block. But it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's less energy expended. It's using the resources that you have to make things work, and maybe work more efficiently, and keep on going. Keep on going. But thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And if that makes something easier for somebody, that's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. That, as I said, it does my heart good. You guys are awesome people, and I so enjoy these live chats. They're so much fun. And okay, I quit stitching because I know I would just sit here and yak anyway. So, yeah, that's kind of the way it is. But I do have an update. As many of you know, I do have, well, it's been a long time, but I ordered a Patoki floor stand. It's actually a year ago now. And I got the invoice back in September and paid that. Okay. And it still has not shipped. So I promised I would do an unboxing when it gets here. But my fear... Oh, Joyce, you're too kind. You're too kind. I don't know. Would anybody buy it? But anyway, yeah, my stand has not shipped yet. It was the last I knew from Mikal, and I think that's how you say his name, Mikal, is that it was being prepared for shipment, and that was right before Russia did. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at Joyce going, she would. I might have to work on that. My stand was being prepared for shipment right before Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, if you look at the Patoki website, the contact information says the Czech Republic. And I believe that is where their main business is located. However, hi Joyce. However, their factory is located in Ukraine. So I've pretty much, as much as it breaks my heart, resigned myself to the fact that it's probably going to be a good long time before I ever see my stand. And that's okay, because what's more important is that people are safe. And, you know, it's a terrible, terrible thing. But I did email Mikal, I think that's how you say his name, to see, not to check on my stand, because you know what, that's irrelevant at this point in time, but to check that, are they safe, and are they okay, and are they being in the midst of all the bombings and the shellings and all that stuff that's going on. And what he wrote me back is, their production is located in the city of, and I do not know how to say this, so maybe some of you folks over there in Europe can pronounce it, but I don't know. It's Dnipro, which is in the central part of Ukraine. It's a large industrial city. It is the space capital of Ukraine. So I need a drink. Where's my fluids? Oh my goodness, all this talking, my throat gets dry. So it is the space capital of Ukraine, and the entire missile potential of the collapsed Soviet Union was built there. At the moment, there is no shelling, no bombs are exploding, but there's no guarantee this will continue. So they are still working because many of our customers are waiting for orders, although part of their team has now gone to war. They decided not to stop work in the factory. So I felt better knowing that at least for now, they are safe. And as I said, that's just the most important thing, of the safety of people. I also worry about other Ukrainian stitchers, and are they safe, and have they evacuated, and were they able to evacuate? It's just a horrible, horrible thing. And the other person I think about is Luda, because I believe she was in Kiev or Kiev. I don't know how to pronounce these words. Kiev, I think. So I also worry about her and wonder if anyone has heard from her. I haven't seen anything since the last video that she put up. So, all I'm going to say is to keep these people in our thoughts and our prayers, and wish the best for them, and hope all of this comes to an end soon. That's all I can say. So, given that, I've kind of given up on my stand. I kind of gave up on it. Maybe one day it will show up at my front door and I will be the happiest camper in the world. But for now, my stand is not important. My stand, it's irrelevant. And the most important thing is that these people are safe. That's what's more important, that they are safe, and this comes to an end quickly. So anyone that watches this that is from Ukraine or in harm's way, please know that our thoughts and our prayers are all with you. Okay. Oh, Luda has been posting on Instagram. Oh, awesome. I have to check that out. I don't know that I must not follow her. I'm going to have to look at that. Well, Margaret, enjoy your dinner. And you have also been wonderful company, and I thank you for joining us. And I'm so appreciative of all you folks that drop in and, listen to me ramble about nothing. You guys are the best. Yvonne did all my Christmas stockings in needlepoint. Oh, and they're full of those stitches. Good for you. That is awesome. Gonna have to send me some pictures. Send me some pictures. Yes. You're welcome, Sue. My pleasure. Well, Molly, I am glad you stopped by too. And I think we're looking at almost 2 hours again. I did a record-breaking 74 stitches. Have any of you been stitching this whole time? Because I would be curious if you put in the comments of this video how many stitches you stitched. And I do have to say, Tracy, you're absolutely right. If and when my stand comes, it means all is well. And that's, again, the most important thing. Molly, 276 stitches. Yes. Yes. Awesome. I was really surprised. I got a lot of positive comments about the video that I did right before this with how many stitches can you stitch in an hour. I was really happy that that went over as well as it did. That just did my heart so well. So I think we can do more of this kind of thing. If you have any ideas for what the stitching challenge needs to be or should be, I am open to that. Okay, we've done, how many stitches can we get done on a live stream? We've done, how many stitches can we do in an hour? So, oh my goodness, 432. You go, Michaela. Awesome. That is wonderful. Oh my goodness. Hi, Norma. How are you? Thanks for dropping by. Keep talking. Oh, you guys are so great. You guys are so wonderful. And I stopped stitching. Yeah. But you know what? You're getting a lot done, and that's what this is all about. So if you have other ideas for what that challenge should be, let me know, and we will do them. I don't know that they will be every week. I just kind of threw that up there, or threw this one in today, just because I hadn't done a video earlier this week. I just got distracted by other things and didn't get around to it. But we can do it in a live. We can do it every other week. We can, how often would, so let me know. Stitches can right-handed do with the left hand. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, Martina, that is awesome. Let me tell you what, it won't be 74. Yeah. Joyce, are you? Oh, thank you. Yes, and I think everybody feels that way. Absolutely. And it looks like, since you said goodnight, are you leaving me? But yes, we can do how many stitches. Would you like them to be? So let me know. Would you like the challenges to be part of a live stream? Or would you like me just to pre-record it and post it to YouTube? Give me any other suggestions you may have for a challenge, and I will also try to think up some. There's challenges out there that are in a lot of the Facebook groups, but they're involving many stitches and not something that you can do in a short period of time. So we'll have to try and think of things that we can do, like that are only going to take an hour or 2 hours, as opposed to stitching, thousands of stitches, which, we're not going to get done in just one broadcast or in a live session. So we'll see how that goes. But, put in the comments what you would like to do. And yeah, and we can do that. Because I think it's fun. Absolutely fun. Now, had I not necessarily stopped, but had I not maybe gone into some of those techniques for stitching over one, I may have got more stitches done. I might have. But then again, it's not important. It's not important. What's more important is, did you learn something or get something beneficial out of this video. And if you did, that makes it all worthwhile. That makes it all worthwhile. So, my friends, since we're looking at 2 hours, since we're looking at, what time is it? Almost 2 o'clock. So, yes, 2 hours. Silly me, once again, forgets to have any lunch. Well, good, Molly. I'm glad. I'm glad. That's what it's all about. Let's, sharing our knowledge and sharing, what's worked for me over the last 50 years. Well, actually more than that, but we're not going to go there. But what's worked for me and what can help you to do things differently. I won't say better because, like I said, as long as you are happy, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And I say that every time. You'll probably get sick of me saying that, but that's just how it is. As long as you're happy and you're satisfied with what you're doing, that's all that matters. There is no criticism here. I'm not going to say, oh God, you're wrong. Oh no, you can't do it that way. Oh, that's perfectly wrong. No. There's no stitching police. The only stitching police there are the police that you impose upon yourself. That's it. So, once again, this old ding-dong forgot to eat lunch before she started this video. So, she needs to go have a little bit of something to eat before it's dinner time. Because it's now, like I said, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, with that, Tracy, very informative because stitches hide all the time. Well, see, hopefully we fixed that for you today, and you know how you can do that. Yes, Joyce, start from the beginning. Listen to my ramble. And Martina, good night. In Germany, I guess it's let's see, you're pretty far ahead of me. Oh, Julie, I kept you company at work. Yay. I hope it made work a little bit more enjoyable for you today. I hope so. And with that, my friends, 8 p.m. Okay, so it's 2 here, so you're about 6 hours different from me because it's, 2 to 8. Yeah. I always have to think about that time zone thing. I always get that messed up. So with that, my dear people, I want to thank you so very much for hanging out with me today. For all of you that keep coming back to listen to my ramblings, thank you. And you guys are the best, the absolute best. All of you. For anybody that has found me and is new, I hope you enjoyed your stay and that you will come back again. What you see is what you get. So we try to have some fun. We try out some new things. We talk about stitching and just generally share in general. So thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you all for allowing me in your home and spending time with you. So with that, I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend, and I will probably pop on sometime next week. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.